Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Pancakes and Cyrup podcast. I'm Sam Segalis, and this is TJ.
I'm TJ McMillan. Thank you all for tuning in to this podcast. This is something that I know for me I've wanted to do for a long time. I've always talked about buddies back home about starting a podcast, and kind of came here. I was like, this is a perfect time to start one. So I kind of was asking around, and I got to Sam, and Sam wanted to do this.
Yeah, I mean, this kid would not stop talking about it. But he was very persuasive, So he got me on board, and let's just see how it goes, right?
Before you guys think we're dumb, Cyrup spelled with a C. We're two centers here at the University of Illinois, and we're just here to just talk about ball, talk about kind of everything going on, and we'll have some people on here, either teammates, coaches, or just hopefully some people you guys want to listen to.
Yeah, I mean, I know we already got one coach that wants to be on it, and then endless teammates.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch of teammates that want to be on this, and you'll hear about their stories and kind of like their college experience, and that's kind of what this episode one's going to be about. Just our stories and how we got here, being kind of two different perspectives on everything in college football.
Yeah, and
two different ways, like kind of getting from like how we started playing to high school to recruitment and everything.
Mm-hmm. And a main big reason why we started this podcast is to kind of give you guys kind of an insight into the like division 1 athlete's life, some kind of experiences that we've had that we've been talking, and we just like really want to share with you guys. So like we said, got a lot of teammates that want to come on here, and we just want to talk some ball. Stay tuned for this episode. We're going to talk about, after we introduce ourselves, say a little bit about ourselves. We're going to go into like our craziest like college game day experience and try to describe that as best as we can for you guys. And then at the end, we're going to talk a little bit about the NFL. We're going to talk about this Thursday night football game we got and our predictions. We're recording this on Thursday, but we're going to drop it on Friday. So you'll see if we know ball or not, to be honest, if we make the right predictions or wrong predictions. And then also, I'm a diehard Bears fan, and TJ, you're a Pats guy, huh?
I'm a Pats guy, and I get the bandwagon thing all the time.
Bandwagon?
I get the bandwagon.
What kind of bandwagon fan base is there for the Patriots right now?
It's not that. I mean, everybody thinks I'm a bandwagon from the start. But,
with like Tom Brady?
Tom, but I mean, now there's not much to bandwagon about right now.
Drake May's been killing it lately.
Drake May's probably one of very few positives to that team right now.
I mean, I don't even know if I can name anyone else on the page. I can go Drake May, Ramondre Stevenson. I can't name a single wide. Is Booty still on the team?
I believe so.
Is he?
I believe so.
I know Devontae Parker was on the Patriots for a little bit.
Yeah, that's been a long time. That's been a long time.
But he's been balling. I mean, Drake May's been balling.
Yeah, Drake.
Although their record may not show it.
He's been playing well.
Drake May's been playing well. So, yeah, I mean, so we wanted to kind of start this podcast off, tell a little bit about ourselves, kind of how we got here, our stories. So, you want to go first, TJ?
Yeah, I'll go first. Kind of how it started for me was I was kind of grew up into a football family. Dad played in the Arena League, retired right after I was born. Grew up, kind of had an older brother, have an older brother and sister. Grew up watching my older brother. He's about 8 years older than me. He's now coaching college football. My dad, right after he got done playing, got into coaching. So kind of right from my earliest memories, it's all been about football. And we've literally just lived it every day. And I kind of grew into it. Started playing when I was 4 years old, and I've loved it ever since. Got to high school, not knowing if I wanted to play college football or not. Kind of wanted to be a baseball player.
Yeah, I did know that. You want to be a baseball player.
Wanted to be a baseball player, but my dad shut that down pretty quickly when he said, how many 6'1", 260-pound baseball players are in the MLB?
6'1"?
At the time, I mean, I was probably an 8th grader going into freshman year.
Okay.
So, and that kind of caught my eye, and I was like, first thing I said is, Prince Fielder's shorter than I am and probably weighs more. And he didn't like their response. But after that day, I kind of went on my freshman year, got done with my freshman season, and luckily enough for me, after my freshman season, I was about 6'2", 220 at the time. And luckily enough for me, got an offer out of my freshman year of high school to play at Central Michigan and to play defense. And kind of that's when the whole eye-opening experience came and was like, wow, like this is something I can really do with my life and kind of move forward with this. And, as a freshman, I was excited. I was jumping around. And it was a cool experience because my dad was my head coach, and I got offered in person in his office, so he was there to experience it too. So with everything that kind of we've been through with being my dad, like how he's been my coach since I was little. And that was awesome. So sophomore year, the whole COVID situation happened, so it kind of slowed down recruiting wise a little bit. Got a few offers here and there.
Tell me about it.
And then right before the season came, I got my first Power 5 offer to play defensive line at Syracuse, and they kind of brought up offensive line. And at the time, COVID after the season was probably about 6 months. After the season, I was still 6'2", 6'2 and a half, about 250, and I was like, "There's no way I'm big enough to play offensive line at this level." And COVID season came, played the games, got hurt a little bit, so it kind of delayed some. Like camps and everything.
You are injury prone. You are injury prone, fucker.
I wouldn't say injury prone. They're all. They're all very little bumps and bruises that we all get.
Yeah.
And it's for a day or so.
I mean, you guys wouldn't believe. This kid's coming up to me every day before practice, suiting up, putting my knee braces on. And he's like, my thumb hurts so bad. The other day during practice, we were doing like, we call it pass pro circuit. It's the very first thing we do in practice. And TJ comes up to me and he's like, I didn't have time to tape my wrists. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, but that's not good because my wrist hurts really bad. And I'm like, okay. And then the first rep he does, I just hear him like squeal. And he comes back in line. He's like, I fucked up. That was literally like 2 days ago, dude.
Yeah, that was.
That is way more to it. You guys have no idea. But it's okay. It's all right, TJ.
Got hurt. All right, no, I'm going back.
All right, back to his upbringing, back to his story.
Got hurt. Came back in about did a little something in my knee. Came back in about 5 weeks later. Football season was done. Only played 6 games that year. Went through baseball season, and during baseball, I mean, there was times during baseball season that was kind of when everything was going a little bit back to normal. I'd go to camps, and then right from the camp, I'd go to a baseball game, or we'd have a baseball game, and I'd literally show up to the camp in my baseball uniform, get dressed there. That kind of summers when everything kind of started taking off for me, and I went to a camp.
What year was this?
This would have been 21.
So your senior year? Or
no, sophomore year.
I'm mixed up. I'm a year older than him, so.
And went through it. Went through that whole camp cycle, and one of the camps, finally, I was playing defense still, only a defensive guy. I didn't think I was playing offense. Played offense, but played both ways in high school, but still thought I was kind of a defensive guy. One camp, played defense. There was this defensive lineman that was dominating, and nobody wanted to go against him on the offense side of the ball, so I said, you know what, I'll go. And I went up there, and ended up beating him, and posted it on Twitter, and then a couple days later, I got a call from Missouri and got an offer to play offensive line there.
Wow, from the camp?
Yeah, I wouldn't even say from the camp. They said they watched my high school film and then saw that video, and that's kind of when the whole offensive line journey came. And I was still getting some offers for both sides of the ball. For some were defense, some were offense, and some were both to just see how they roster-wise when I got there. So in junior year is kind of when I seriously locked everything in, and I jumped from freshman year. I ended the season. I played at 220, ended the season at 205. So I was down 15 pounds for the season. COVID year, I gained 30 pounds, and then that COVID year to junior year summer, I gained about another 30 pounds. So I was about 265, 275 pounds. And that's kind of where I was like, yeah, it's probably more of an offensive lineman type of build. And I started training offensive line in the off season. Shout out Fist Football in Illinois. They kind of got me into the offensive line and everything. And junior year came, had a great junior year. Then right after the season, that's when everything kind of just started rolling. I started getting a lot more offers. Summertime came. More and more started coming in. Stopped taking more visits. Just kind of was like, I'm going to enjoy high school for a little bit before. I already planned on kind of graduating early from wherever school I went to. So
you did?
Yeah.
You came in spring ball.
Mm-hmm. So I kind of started enjoying high school a little more. During that last summer, I knew I was going to be there. And got a call from Coach B one day. It was actually in the Chick-fil-A parking lot. And I got a call from Coach B, and he offered me a scholarship, and at the time, didn't want to stay in Illinois. Wanted to go probably somewhere in the Midwest and just go kind of explore, take kind of the official visit season and kind of go see other places. Well, in the span of a week, Coach Miller and at the time Coach Kane came down a whole bunch, saw me. Coach Miller came to a baseball game, and then a couple days later came to the school. And one of the few coaches where I was like, you know what, I can see myself playing for that guy. And I pulled my dad out, and I go, I want to commit to the University of Illinois. I didn't know that day that I wanted to commit there. Wasn't even a thought in my head when I woke up that morning. Just he came in, and I was like, wow, I guess it's somebody that I can see myself playing for and seeing my success. And so that day, committed about a week after the offer, and then went through my senior season. The coaches try to contact me, and no, I'm fully committed to the University of Illinois. Okay, and then came here in the spring of 23, so that January. And that's kind of how I got there. And I've loved it ever since.
Hell yeah, man. That's awesome.
I mean, let's hear about you. I know, Sam's. I know your story is a little bit different than mine. We've talked about this. We've talked about this a couple times. So let's hear yours.
So kind of like what you said, right? Very different from the beginning. You were getting scholarship offers from since you were very not very young, but just out of high school, right? It's different to me because I came here as a PWO, and I didn't really get any D1 interest until after my senior, or late senior year after my senior year, right? Mm-hmm. But that's kind of where the story ends. I want to start where the story begins. You know what I'm saying? My dad, I guess we started my whole family. My whole family is very involved in college sports. My cousin Tyler played quarterback he was a South Dakota Coyote. Oh. And my other cousin, same family, Michaela, she also played softball at the University of South Dakota. Uh-huh. And just when I was growing up, they were kind of, because I have a younger brother, but they were kind of like the big brothers to me, in a sense. Okay. So, my dad played college football at Southern Illinois. Mm. And ever since I was born, I was just surrounded by football. And it's just my dad used to sign me up for football, and I always had because I played for the what was it called? A youth league around my town.
Pop Warner?
No, not Pop Warner yet. It's getting to Pop Warner.
Okay.
But I was always the heavy kid, kind of. But that's funny because now like I'm like the light kid.
Yeah.
I'm relatively light for the O line, right? Isn't that funny? And so I brought up growing up when I was super young, I was always a striper. Do you know what that means?
Yeah. Right.
So a striper means that you're too heavy. You're not light enough to carry the ball.
You hurt the other kids. Is basically what they
Yeah,
said.
basically I'd hurt the other kids if I touched the football, which is complete BS. But that's a conversation for another time. So I kind of grew up on the O-line D-line kind of thing. And that was the Mount Prospect Lions. And then when I got into middle school, I switched to Pop Warner because my dad wanted me to do it. He's like, you're too good to not be in Pop Warner, I guess. He like really emphasized Pop Warner. I remember this, and I was like, okay, sure. So we go to I switched from the I switched from the Mount Prospect Lions to the Northwest Elite Lions, which was Pop Warner. And then I went to a more competitive Pop Warner team. Was that
like I know a lot of like Mount, like you went to Prospect High School, like
yeah.
So was that old team you're on like a feeder team into
basically
Prospect?
So Prospect, Mount Prospect, same like town.
And then was that Pop Warner team also like was that like a feeder team or
Kinda.
was it just like
so like they were very surrounded by like St. Viator. I remember we'd always practice like at the St. Viator High School field and stuff like that. But you know, for my first few seasons there, we were pretty bad. And my dad's like, you need to go to a more competitive youth league. And at that time, I was just a kid. I'm like, okay, Dad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, okay, whatever you say. So we moved to the Hoffman Estates Redhawks. I don't know if you're familiar with that. But,
yeah.
I was in 6th grade, and I was practicing with the 6th grade team, and I was killing it. And I'm like, this is awesome, right? And eventually the eighth grade team head coach comes up and he's like, you're with us. And I'm like, what? I don't want to do this. I want to keep dominating on the 6th grade team. So I was just like young. I was just like scared. Like these guys are so much older than me. And the moment, this kind of ties into the moment where I realized that, you know, I can take football serious. Like I can play football competitively. I'll never forget this. We were doing Oklahoma drill, and I was the lineman, of course, and I was going up against these 8th grade monsters. To me, it felt like. First rep, he blows the whistle. I get killed. The D lineman makes the tackle. I'm like, why am I here? Second whistle, they tell me to run it back. So they tell me, get back on the line or yell at me. And I'm like, okay. Second whistle, he blows the whistle. I get killed again. And I hear the O-line coach from the 8th grade team say, like, talk to the head coach. I don't know if he meant for me to hear it or not. But he was just like, this kid doesn't have what it takes. And I heard it. And I'm like, what did you say? I like flipped like that. Like literally like, I like, what?
Yeah.
So it's just, that was the first moment where I had the, like, I had like the, like, fuck you mentality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, like, at one point, like, there's always a point in your football career, whatever sport you play, like, there's a point that, like, a switch flips, and you're like, you know what, fuck you. Like, I can do this.
That's what it is. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what are you talking about? I can't remember.
Exactly.
Like, fuck off. Like, so, third whistle, or he makes me line back up. Third whistle goes, fucking kill him. I literally drive him 15 yards into the dirt. You know, Oklahoma drill running back runs right off my hip, scores a touchdown or whatever. And that's kind of when I realized that, whoa, I'm pretty, like I can take this to the next level, right? So I ended up making the 8th grade team, and we went down to Florida that year and we won nationals. Whatever
Oh,
whatever merit that gives.
You were a national champion?
Yeah,
So,
I was a national champion. Right?
So was
I had the ring. I used to wear it around middle school. It was like a little fake gold ring with like a fake ruby on top. I used to flex it. But that's kind of when I realized that I can play. I can play college football if I really put work into this. Freshman year came around, I didn't play varsity. I played freshman, but we ended up going undefeated. Shout out that team. That team is raw. And then sophomore year came around, and we had a first day of summer camp my sophomore year. The varsity online coach, Coach Beischer, I love him to death. He said, "All right, first team, line up." We were literally practicing our 3-point stance. Right. It was like very first day of camp. And I see left tackle, left guard, center, right guard line up. But there's no right tackle that lined up for the first team. So I'm like, I'll go. Whatever. I'm just going to step up. I go up there to the right tackle spot, and I put down my hand for the 3-point stance. And then kind of since that moment, they just kind of accepted me as the right tackle, like starting right tackle varsity. Obviously I had to put in some work, like inside drill. Mm-hmm. Did you have inside drill in high school?
We had like team. It was more like a team run. See, we didn't have inside. Many like inside because you went to a way bigger school than I did. Like my private school, we had like 30, 35 kids on our team. So like we could barely form like we got one O-line. We'd have probably 1-2 deep. Yeah. And then after that, it was just receivers here.
So we had enough people that we were able to have a first team, a second team, and a scout team. Mm-hmm. So at that point in summer camp, we were going up against the second team now. Yeah. So they put me in there. I mean, I showed out. And by the end of summer camp, I was still in the starting lineup at right tackle. And I remember my first varsity start in high school versus St. Vider. I was so nervous. Like I was like, why? I started doubting myself, and then I went up against this. I think he played at Northwestern. What? This St. Vider guy from North. I know his name. It's slipping from me.
I have no.
Oh man. Oh. I don't know. It's irrelevant. But I ended up playing really well, and then I kind of just took off from there. But my sophomore year, like I was like 6'1", like you said, like when you were 6'1", like 200 pounds. Like I was just like, I was nowhere near where I was when I finished high school, right? But I kept grinding. I kept getting in the weight room, and then junior year was COVID, so I didn't really get any recruiting there. And senior year came around, and I was playing really well. I was like 6'2", like 240. Just
what'd you tell? What was the huddle film say?
Oh my God, this is a crazy question because we just watched my huddle highlights today in the team meeting. That's not fair. Oh, but all right, but I'll say
because we know that it's a little stat pad in there.
my huddle highlights said I was 6'4", 260 pounds, and that is just not what it was. But I mean, hey, I just needed one coach to take the cheese. You know what I'm saying? You need to take the cheese. Yeah. Take the cheese.
He took it.
You took it. Now I'm here. But senior year. I played really well, and I didn't really get any like D1 interest until at like late senior year. I got offers to like FCS schools. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like the Daytons, the Drakes, local. And I'm like, this is cool, but it just doesn't feel right. And I was also getting interest in the Ivy League schools because like I'm a smart kid. Like,
yeah, you are. I'll give you that. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Smart kid. Appreciate it. And so I actually committed to Cornell, and then
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, I
For how
was
long I've known
for
you, I
real
did not
committed.
know that.
I was committed to Cornell, like full on. Called the coach, and then Illinois came around. I actually had no idea, because coach, we were lifting in 0 hour. Did you guys have 0 hour?
No.
So it was like it's like a PE class, but it was just the entire football team.
Yeah.
That would work out before school. And I remember working out one day. I was maxed out on a bench my senior year. I think I got like 295 or something. And I hit it, and I'm so hyped because I'm just like, I don't know. Looking back on it is not that big of a feat. But I was getting so hyped, and I turn around and I see Coach Miller right there. And I see him wearing an Illinois polo. I didn't know who he was at the time, right? But I see him wearing the Illinois polo shirt, and I'm like, what? And I see him walking towards me, and I'm just like, and he kept up. He's like, "Hey Sam, I'm Coach Miller." And I'm like, hey Coach, I'm Sam. He's like, we'd like to offer you a preferred walk-on spot at the University of Illinois. And I was just so, like, that was the first, because I had a lot. I don't want to say a lot, but I had multiple PWOs for like Big Ten programs.
Mm-hmm.
But they all came after I got the one from Illinois.
Yeah.
And I was just like so happy that day. I remember posting on Twitter, like just so happy. And then all the other, it was mostly Big Ten. The Big Ten like PWOs came in. And I was just like, you know what? Like these don't really feel authentic. Like the coaches are like DMing me, but I've never seen them in person.
Yeah.
Right. Like Coach Miller is the one who came to my school, like saw me lift, saw me work out, and he made the decision based off that. I just feel a much closer connection with him.
Mm-hmm.
And what really sealed the deal for me, because I'm still a nerd, is that I realized, because I'm like a pre-med major.
Yeah.
You know that. And I realized that the University of Illinois has a really good like pre-med school. So I'm like, all right, that seals the deal. I'm like, Dad, wanna go to University of Illinois. And he's like, okay. He's like, yeah, that's fine, but you have to decommit from Cornell, because Cornell offered me late senior year football season. And I I took an OV there. I basically committed on the spot, because it was just the best thing I had at that point. I'm like, I'm gonna play football at a Ivy League school, get a great education, and just live my life. And once I realized like the perks of Illinois, still a very good school, closer to home. Like I see my parents every game basically, because they're able to come to them. I just realized I want to go there. He's like, all right, you got to decommit from Cornell, and that, I'll tell you, that was the hardest phone call I've ever made in my entire life. Like decommitting, it was Coach Cascarano from Cornell. I had to call him, but he was very understanding. But
how did kind of like, I want to know, because I never had to do that, but like it sucked kind of like, because it sucks like kind of when you build a connection with these coaches. Like I know you committed there, so you built like a really good connection.
He came to my, like, Coach Cascarano came to my house. Yeah, we fed him food. He sat at the dinner table with my family. Right, like I actually had a very close relationship with him as well. I went to an OV. They flew me out to New York, and it was just like awesome. All the coaches were so nice. But I remember on the phone call, I told him at the end of the day, like, it's just, I have to make the best decision for me. Yeah. Right.
I mean, that's kind of what you like have to do.
I know.
That's what kind of just everything.
It was. But I remember, I hung up the phone call with Cascarano and I called Miller, and I'm like, Coach, I want to commit. I want to go to the University of Illinois, right? So, and then after that, it was just awesome. And then, feels like yesterday I first got here, but 2.5 years go by and now I'm here.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It goes by fast. Like it's kind of like
all the old guys, like, they tell you, like, you enjoy the moment, it goes fast, but
and
you're like,
you
yeah,
hear that,
whatever, right?
Yeah, you hear that from like anywhere you go. You hear it from high school, and you're like, yeah, like you're a little freshman. You're like, yeah, whatever, dude. Like this is gonna be a while. It's 4 years.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, it's your senior year, and you're like, oh shit, that did go by fast.
Well, it's not my senior year.
Oh, I'm talking about high school right now. I know you're not that old yet. You're almost there though. But no, that's exactly how it is. Like it's crazy to think like I'm like, wow, like I came here January 23 and I'm literally half a semester away from being basically a junior school wise.
It's crazy.
Like it's not like you do have to enjoy the moment because it does go by fast.
Yeah. Exactly. And call Coach Miller, committed to University of Illinois, and now I'm here. I don't regret it. I don't regret a single thing.
Yeah.
That's
but definitely like from a recruiting standpoint, like I know like me, I never I never had a decommit. I bet you that was, like you said, that was brutal. But you building you spend 3, 3, 4 years of your life kind of building connections with people, and then all of a sudden you got to commit to one, and you're like, well, what about this connection I had with the coach? And it's kind of like you commit, and obviously though, like you get the if you change your mind, like this and that, or like you get the coaches that wish you the best of luck, or you get some of the ones that like just like okay, like don't mind. But that's kind of that was the toughest part for me. For like when I committed, like I called most of the coaches that had offered me, and the ones that didn't answer, I texted them. And I said, like, I'm like, hey, coach, I want to thank you for all this. Like, recruiting takes like a toll, like, because you
horrible.
Gotta
I hated it. I hated recruiting. I hated it. It's so stressful.
Yeah, it's a like you hear this a lot from people. It's a roller coaster of emotions. Like when I got my first one, I was all the way up here.
Yeah,
and then. We went a couple days later. I got another one from an FCS school, but then the next one didn't come for another like 3, 4 months. So I'm like, oh, maybe like I'm not as good as I think. And then you get again, and you're like, oh, I'm back up here. Yeah. Like you kind of got to keep this like steady pace. Yeah. Especially in the recruiting game because it's a long process. And at the end of the day, like you said, you gotta choose what's best for you and like who you think's gonna help you, other your goals to make it to the NFL. Like, I mean, if you play college football, like if you have the thoughts of playing it, like you gotta kind of think that I want to make it to the NFL. And then obviously, like as things go on, like you get like okay, maybe like I gotta start focusing on this a little bit more. But I mean, to play at this game, you kind of got to think like. I'm going to go to the NFL. And then obviously when the time comes, like, if you do, if you don't, like, we're obviously not there yet, so we can't tell you much about it. But it's like I said, it's a long process that a lot of people don't like. But it's fun, though. Like, you got to enjoy it at the same time. Like, you're going across the country, kind of visiting places. Yeah, and you're seeing, like, wow, like, like my favorite NFL player went here. Like this is cool, and like you're going to like that was definitely the coolest thing for me. Is like you see like who's been to this program and like what these coaches have succeeded and like how the school is. Yeah. And I mean, like for me, like here was just kind of like especially with Coach B. Coach B like has a great like track record, especially at centers like. You kind of see like all the centers. Ragnar. He had. I think at the time when we were talking, he said the path. I couldn't tell you all 7. I know he had. I know Ragnar is like one of the most like famous centers that he had. But he said the last. What kind of got me in this? Like he was like the last 7 centers, or it was 6 or 7 that he recruited and offered have made it to the NFL. And at the time, like I want to play college football, but like. NFL is a long time away, so I never thought about that. I'm like, wow, like if this successful coach had played in the Big Ten, has coached the Big Ten,
Yeah.
Then went to SEC and then coached at the highest level. Like if he thinks I can play at his program, like that's like really like that's kind of what got me. It's like he's kind of been from bottom to top. Like he was a PW, like he talks about all the time. He was a PWO at Iowa, and ended up actually earning a scholarship and made it to a mini camp with was it Seahawks, I believe.
Yeah.
He said was it the Seahawks? And then ended up getting hurt, and obviously then his coaching career started, and I mean he's just blown. He's kind of like he's American, like just work hard. Like work hard and you get what you want. I mean, he started from ground zero and worked his way up.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach B, I love Coach B.
Yeah,
you know,
it's hard to not like anyone because you spend so much time like with basically like even the defensive coaches. Like you spend so much time in that facility, like you kind of just learn to like everything about them, and it's a cool thing because it's a cool like hearing everybody's backstory.
Yeah. Even today, I was getting food after practice, and Coach B was behind me in the line, and I was like, "Hey, what's up, Coach?" And he's just like, "What's up?" like you get like you. There's two sides to every coach, you know. Like you get the Coach B that he kind of portrays on social media,
Yeah,
and then you get the other side of Coach B where he's just like he just loves his players, right?
Yeah,
and it's just like a very personal relationship with him.
It's very.
And that's why I like him, like because you look at him as a Big Ten head football coach, and you give him all this respect, but at the same time, like you can talk to him, and it's just like talking to like a friend.
Yeah,
right?
and because he's like, and the thing I like about it too is like he relates to it. Like he played in Big Ten ball.
Yeah,
and like he's been a part of this for so long. Like he kind of like I consider him like a player's head coach. Like. You need like something happened at home. He's always going to be by your side, and he's going to let you go home. Something like you just gotta like, especially at this level, and especially with him, you got to communicate. Like you tell him something, he's gonna if he believes like you know like that you should do this, then he's gonna follow
Trust
your
him.
side. Yeah,
yeah.
And he's Coach B's phenomenal. Like he's a phenomenal coach, phenomenal person. And he's just a pleasure to like be around. Like, and the thing is like for me, I don't know how it is for you. Like everybody sees him, and it's like this big celebrity. Like, oh, that's Brett Bielema right there. And like you see him, you're like, oh, that's Coach B. Like, what's up?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You see him every day, and he's like, most, I'd say a lot of people like know who Brett Bielema is, and you see him every day, and you're like, oh, what's up, Coach B?
Yeah, that's it. And that kind of adds into the two different perspectives that we see him as, you know, like this big, respectable head coach, and then also just a friend. Yeah. You know.
Well, so. I know you said it like, and I know a lot of people like I've had some friends of mine like that take like I want to ask you this as a preferred walk on. Because some of my friends have talked about, and I know high school like kids will talk about being a PWO, like they feel like they're not part of the team. Like, what do you think? Like, what do you think about that? Like, I already know because we're around you all the time, but
I can't speak for every college football program.
Oh well, yeah. Like talk about like here, like what, like how
under
it is
Coach
here.
B, it's you. Once you get here, you can't tell.
No,
you know,
not at all.
Like, it's honestly like, I was really like thinking about that. You know, like with PWO, like how is my experience going to be different from someone else on the team? But going through practice, going through everything, it's just like once you're here, like scholarship, non-scholar, like whatever, wherever you came from, when you're here, all the not even just Coach B, all the coaches treat you the exact same. You know, you're still gonna get praised the same amount for when you do good. You're still gonna get bitched out for when you do bad, and and believe me, we do get bitched out. Yeah. But like it's fine. Like the difference between my class I knew, right? I knew who was on scholarship, who was on one, because I like put effort in. I researched it. I saw
Oh.
But like your class, like I had no idea.
No, I was like, I forgot who I was talking to the other day from the team, but I was like, we were talking about guys that were on the team, and like some guys were playing, and I was like, wait, he's a walk-on?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
No.
It really doesn't matter.
No, because that like especially here, like you said, you can't speak for every place, but especially here, like the best players are gonna play, and that's how I would assume like most college football players are. Like, if you think like you can do it and you can go out there, and I know like college football is changing with walk-ons and with everything in NIL and like schools being able to pay you, but if you're offered a PWO and you're like, you know what, I can do this and I can play at this level, and you go there and you show them that you can play, like, you're gonna play. Like we've had a couple freshman PWOs like play, and that's rare. Like it's like it's unheard of. But if you can play at this level, you're gonna play.
Yeah, that's what it is. So, yeah, that's enough about us. That's enough about our program. Next thing we want to go into is kind of like the craziest like college game day experience. I know what mine is. Do you need time to think about yours?
No, I definitely know what mine is.
All right, let's hear it.
Craziest college football, craziest game day experience was obviously every game here is always fun to be around, but I'm gonna go to a away game. This year was for me by far. I mean, we played at some good places. We played at Oregon, Nebraska, but for me by far, we played at Penn State. And that was the craziest thing I think I've ever experienced. And it's like
crazy.
It's something that I kind of got there, and they made it like an unofficial whiteout, so it was kind of like their whiteout game. And I'm standing there on the sideline. I'm like, this is something like when you're little you dream of. Mm-hmm. And the whole place is rocking, and you hearing the "We are Penn State." And it's just nothing like could come to like my thoughts. It's just a big smile on my face. Like, you just gotta enjoy like everything. Like the same place like Oregon's great stadium, great fans, and it was loud. Nebraska, we were there for their 400 sellout, so that place was rocking. But Penn State was it was so loud. Like those places were loud, but Penn State had like another level to it. Like, when people say like you can't hear yourself think, that's exactly like what it was. We had to go on silent cadences the entire game because you could not hear a clap of any sound, and it was just
unreal.
That's the only way to explain it. I know it was only 2 months ago, but I still think about it all the time. Like that's by far the nicest and coolest place I've ever been to. And you get all the stands boo, you score, and all of a sudden you just hear the crowd booing you. You're like, it was pretty cool, and it was unreal. Like how many people, you just look up and it's just a row of white, and
crazy. It
was by far the craziest game day experience that I've had. And at the time we were both two ranked teams, and we were both pretty. I think we were 19 and they were 6.
Both ranked, yeah. At that time,
they made a big deal to get out for their whiteout energy, and it's hard to explain unless you go to a whiteout game or you play in it, what it feels like.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what about you?
For me, I could choose a lot, right? Because I've been here for a while, right? But what stands out to me the most, maybe it's because it was my freshman year, but 2022 home game.
Okay.
Iowa.
Oh, I was at that game as a recruit.
You were?
Yeah.
You were in the stands?
I was in the stands.
Oh my God. It was, I remember because we come out like an hour before the game for warm-ups, obviously, but we come out to the game an hour before for warm-ups, pre-practice, whatever, and we go back to the locker room like 10 minutes before the game, and we, Sarah prayer, do all that, get hyped up, and I remember waiting in the tunnel come back out to the field after we went back to the locker room, like right before the game. And I just remember like my whole body vibrating from just all like the crowd noise, the crowd cheering. And as a freshman, you know, when my freshman year, like Illinois hasn't been very good for a while, right? But that was like Illinois versus Iowa at home was kind of like the first game where, you know, like we were doing really well that season and everyone was just like, Illinois is back, you know. Iowa was also a very good team at the time.
Yeah, that would have been when they had Campbell, Laporta,
all of them.
And
all of them. Laporta was crazy too. He was unreal. But I remember waiting in the tunnel to come back out to the field and just like my whole body was like vibrating because of all the crowd noise. And I'm like, at first I didn't realize. I was like, what's going on? Like I've never seen it like this before. And I remember running out the tunnel, the smoke, you know, you smell the smoke when you're running out, and you know you can't see anything when you first come out of the tunnel. You're just trying not to fall over the guy in front of you running out. And I remember finally getting a view of the whole of the stands, and it was just like sold out. You know, I was just like looking around, and every single seat was filled up. You know, my body's still like shaking from all the crowd noise, and I'm like, wow. I just remember thinking like, wow, like I'm not gonna forget this. I'm gonna remember this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy. It was insane. Like looking around, like obviously freshman year, like I wasn't gonna play in the game, but I just remember thinking like, wow, like this is what it's all about. Like this, I get it now. Like like going through fall camp, having to stay on campus during the summer, you know, spring ball, winter workout. Like this is what it's like. It just made it all. Even though I wasn't gonna get in that game, it was like this is I understand now. Like this is what it's all about.
This is Big Ten football.
It was insane, and I just remember the whole game, like. I was just paying attention to the crowd, and just like when we would do good, how loud it would get, and when Iowa made a play, how silent it would get. And we ended up winning that game 9-6. Shout out Fabrizio,
Breezy
hitting 3 field goals. But yeah, that was probably the craziest game day experience I've been a part of. Probably because it was like my first big crowd.
No, that's definitely like that. That's how I kind of felt with like Penn State being kind of the first like big place I've played at. Like obviously we played at Memorial, and like we played Kansas a couple weeks before that. And that game was
rowdy.
Yeah, that game was they stormed the field, and
yeah.
I mean that was probably one of the coolest moments of the year, especially like. The good team, and like at the time they were highly ranked, and we kind of beat their ass in our stadium, and that's when you kind of felt the fans jump on our like,
yeah, especially
how like last year didn't go the way we wanted, and that's kind of when you felt like the fans jump on our back, and like you said, they're like the Illini's back,
yeah,
and
they're back.
Was, and then we just kept winning after that, and it was leading into like. The Penn State game, it was just you kind of just get everybody, and it's always like you live for those moments, like especially like as a college athlete, like you live for playing at places, home stadiums packed, rivalry games.
Yeah,
like it's something definitely you like. I'll never forget any of those games that we won at Memorial, that were the guys where they stormed the field. And I'll never forget those away games because they're just like
they're fun.
They're fun, and they're surreal moments that you like dreamed about, and you're finally there.
Yep, no doubt.
And it's such an awesome experience.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's that. Coming to an end, we should talk about the NFL a little bit.
Yeah, get out of the college world a little bit.
I'll go first with the Bears.
Okay, you want to go on a little spiel about the Bears?
Bears, Oh man, I just want them to be successful. That's all I want. We just fired our OC. But like on pay, like the biggest problem with the Bears, it's pretty odd. It's the O-line. You know what I'm saying? Like Komet's good, Keenan, Rome.
I mean, you got
Keenan, Rome, DJ, Caleb.
like you have.
Khalil Herbert's gone, but we still got Swift. I don't know. It's just as Pole's former lineman as a GM. You know, like yeah, we took Darnell Wright a year ago in the draft, first round. It's like, how do you not see? Sure, yeah, I guess the Bears line is injured, but at the same time, it's like you should know.
Yeah, like you see what you need.
You should know, right? But obviously, it's just. I was really hoping the Bears were going to be good, and they started off so strong. And then
they started 4-2.
Yeah.
And everyone's like,
and they're back.
Chicago's back. The Bears are back.
And then we lose to the Bears lose to the Commanders. Oh my God! I remember watching that in the facility. I was eating victory dinner. It was on top of the world, and I was just like, oh my God, dude. It was bad. And then I hear Stephen Scott yell, "Yeah!" He's from Wisconsin family. I wanted to knock him out. It was horrible, but we knew, everyone knew that the Bears rebuild was going to take a while, and I think the fans kind of wanted to jump the gun.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, we're so successful, like we're so back.
Like on paper, we look like,
yeah,
arguably like on paper, you could say like, you look like a top 5 team in the NFL,
but. What you learn real quick is that,
just what you look like
even in college football, it doesn't. The paper can only do so much.
Exactly.
But yeah, man.
That's your little spiel about the Bears.
That's my spiel for now. We'll get more in depth about it in later weeks.
After this week.
Yeah, probably.
Who do they got this week?
I don't even know. Stop looking. After the blocked field goal versus the Packers, I don't even care anymore. Let's just tank to rebuild. Even more.
Before you end on that, let's talk about that a little bit, because obviously.
Oh yeah.
I'm
sure you have a lot to say about it. You're a little Patriots fan. You're on the outside.
No.
That field goal block by the Packers was illegal.
Why?
It was illegal. They had 2 guys on the long snapper, and they had 2 guys pushing the people on the... People pushing other people on field goal block was outruled in the 60s.
Like pushing them forward? Or
yes. They had 2 people on each side of the long snapper, and they had 2 people right behind those 2 people pushing them. I was so mad. I called it out before they even had it. I'm like, this is going to get blocked, and it's going to be illegal, and they're not going to call it.
Didn't
go back and watch the Packers field goal block.
But didn't
you will see Packers defenders pushing Packers defenders into the long snapper. It was unreal.
Didn't the week before didn't it get called? I don't want to say it was the Bears, but it got called on somebody the week before. I thought I saw that somewhere. That it got called the week before, and
I don't know, man.
Because I believe it might have been against the Bears, but I could be wrong.
Maybe it was. Doesn't matter. I know the Bears were going to lose to the Cardinals 2 weeks ago. I knew they were going to lose when they let up that huge end of half score. Do you remember that? That was insane. That was just bad ball.
Yeah,
But that's my spiel for now. I'll get more into it later, maybe. If I'm hyped up about it, if I'm fired up about it. But you got anything to say about the Pats? And then we'll end it.
It's the Pats we're in a rebuilding stage. We've had,
at least the Pats fans aren't delusional.
No.
And they're like, yeah, we're probably not going to be good this year.
No, like I came into the year just sitting and I was going to be happy if we won 5, 6 games. 3 wins right now.
I fell into the trap. I was like, oh, they're so bad. The Bears are so bad.
You can't get your hypes up. You can't get your hopes up about that. You can't get hyped
but
up.
I did. And also the NFC North is so strong now.
Yeah,
It's
like,
unreal.
From where those teams were, but I mean, besides the Packers, I mean, obviously you being a Bears fan, you hate to hear this, but the Packers have usually always been the top of the,
kick rocks, pal. Whatever.
But with where the Lions were to what Dan Campbell's done there, it's crazy.
Yeah, all props to them. You know, I hate the Lions and everything.
And
I hate Dan Campbell. No, I don't hate Dan Campbell. I think Dan Campbell's chippy.
Dan Campbell's
I think
chippy
Dan Campbell's chippy as hell. But, like, you know, they're the Lions and the Vikings and the Packers, and it's just like, fuck off. But, like, yeah.
But no,
whatever. Stay down till you're up,
Yeah.
right? Stay down till you're up. Chicago
No,
Bears.
There's not much to say about the Pats. I mean, it's hard to, with the success that they had for a while with, I mean, obviously the players they had and the GOAT, Tom and Gronk and all of them, they, like, as a Patriots fan now, obviously it sucks because you see, like, we were the best of the best, and now
you suck.
Now we're the worst of the worst. So it's kind of like the rebuilding stage. Like, I think we'll eventually get there. Like, Jerod Mayo's shown some good things. Drake May's shown some potential. We just need, like, my opinion, like, we need to get some dudes. Like,
You need a playmaker.
yeah, like
You
we
need a
drafted
playmaker.
Jalen Paul. He's having a decent year.
Yeah. You guys got rid of Judon in the offseason.
Yeah, Matt, we traded for a bag of fucking potato chips. We traded him away. But you're right. I think we need a playmaker. I mean, we got Ramondre. Ramondre's he's done well. He's Jerod Mayo said something during the year, like they benched him for a game because he had trouble holding onto the ball. But I think the big thing, like, you need a playmaker. Like, you can't have, especially in this league, like, it's hard to win when you just have, like, mediocre guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, you look at every team that's good. You look at every team that's good. Like, there's a dude on that team.
Yeah.
And
I guess the Patriots dude would probably be Drake May at the moment.
him
Right?
or Christian Gonzalez.
Guys.
Christian Gonzalez he's having a good year, especially after he missed basically all of last year.
Yep.
But I mean, we're young though. Like, at the same time, like,
Very young. Very, very, very
yeah,
young.
like we get some pieces and we
Hunter
fix
Henry.
the offseason.
Hunter Henry's
Henry's
been
a
doing
beast.
well.
Hunter Henry's an all around, like, tight end. He's been showing more in, like, the receiving game, and it's just I don't want to say it, but where I think we're on the slight uprise. Obviously, we'll still have more time, and, like, I'm not expecting, like, oh, we're gonna win out and we're gonna go to the fucking playoffs. No,
Yeah.
like, gotta, they're in this rebuild. Like, I think you got to give Jerod Mayo some time and start to just build around. Like, you found your quarterback, in my opinion. Like, I think Drake May can do it and can make it in this league.
Absolutely.
And I think you just got to build around that now. And
Sweet. All right. Before we leave, let's give a prediction on TNF. We'll see
the Browns Steelers at Cleveland.
Browns,
I think
I need Cedric Tillman to go off. Like, more than half my players on fantasy this week are on a bye, and I'm like one of the second best record in the league. I need Cedric Tillman to go off, but I don't know if that'll happen with the Steelers' stout defense.
Yeah, them and the Chargers their defenses are just unreal,
Yeah.
and I don't think this game's gonna be close. That's if
I do.
You think it's gonna be
think
close?
Steelers always keep the game close because their offense is so bad, but their defense is so good. This is my prediction. Ready? 15-10 Steelers.
5 field goals?
Yeah.
You think Boswell's gonna go back-to-back weeks?
I think they're going to do it again. It's not going to be a high-scoring game.
I think,
Especially at Cleveland.
yeah.
Because Pittsburgh just dropped off Baltimore at Pittsburgh, right? Or was it at Baltimore?
Yeah, no. I'll tell you right now. I want to say it was at Baltimore,
You do.
but no, it was in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, okay.
It was in Pittsburgh. So they
That's what I
But-
thought.
I mean, dude, that Ravens offense though, like, they're so good.
And they got locked up.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, I don't think.
I think Boswell's going to go off.
But I think if the offense can score 2 touchdowns, 2+.
The Steelers?
Yes. If the Steelers offense could score 2+ touchdowns, I think they might win by 17+.
17?
Yes. I think the Browns are bad.
All right, well, we'll see.
But I think the final score, I'll give you the final score. I think the final score of that game will be, I don't think they'll score the 2 touchdowns. That's the only thing. I think that offense is bad. I think the final score will be 27-14 Steelers.
All right. There it is. There it is, guys.
Yeah.
So,
Episode 1
yeah.
of Pancakes and Syrup. Thank you for listening.
Yep.
And we promise the next episode will be a little more interesting about not about ourselves. But we'll have a little bit more segments about other things, some NFL stuff. Might have a guest, might not.
We don't know yet. We got to see. But definitely stay tuned for some more guests coming in the future.
We have some
And thanks for watching.
big ones coming.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yep.